Living in the South, you have a lot of traditions, and a couple of these traditions are based around crawfish. And ever since I was a kid, I've been either trapping crawfish to feed to my pet bass, or to take out on a bass fishing trip with me. But in this case, we're going to be doing a crawfish bowl, and I have a really good recipe that I want to share with you all, and it's something that we found by accident almost a decade ago. So even though I live in Alabama, I still have a little bit of Cajun in me, and ever since I came across this recipe, everybody's been asking me to cook crawfish for them. And even at our work parties, I'll cook crawfish for 60 to 70 people a lot of times every year. And like you see in this video, we'll have 3 to 4 burners going at a time, and we go through a lot of pounds of crawfish every year. So now let's dial down into the specifics of this recipe. Alright, me and Milo loaded up, headed to go get some mud bugs. Alright, we just got to R&R Seafood. That's where we're going to buy our crawfish. They are king of the crawfish, and there's a reason I always come here to get them. I'll show you that here in just a second. About how many pounds of these y'all go through in a day?
Too many.
Too many. So what this guy's doing is he's breaking through every bag and going through and picking all the dead ones out. And that's very important for crawfish because it's a lot like seafood. You have to have them alive. So you don't want to just go to any place and get a sack full of crawfish that has some dead ones in it. You want to go to some place like R&R's that sorts through them, and you're guaranteed to get a sack full of crawfish that is 100% alive. That's interesting. Never seen a Walking Dead car before. Maybe old Rick's in here getting his crawfish fixed. Alright, we got the crawfish back to the house, and before we start purging them, I'm going to pull a few of them out and keep them to feed our bass. That'll be in this upcoming Tank Tuesday, but my goodness, look at how big these things are. Those are mini lobsters. I'm going to try to find some in here that are small enough. We've tried feeding them in the past, and the crawfish were just too big and they didn't eat it. That's when the bass were a lot smaller. Alright, now it's time for the purging process, and there's a big myth about purging crawfish. A lot of people think you have to use salt. You do not have to use salt. All you need is running water, and it may take 20 to 30 minutes, but there's a little trick to it. So we're just going to start adding water in here on top of the crawfish, and the trick to it is to keep this plug open. And you'll see how dirty that water is. I'm not sure if you can see it really good, but it's a dark brown, and there's a lot of little particles and dirt in it. And you'll see here in about 20 minutes, that water will be crystal clear. And so what I like to do is just leave the water hose running in it, close the lid, put it on a little bit of a slope to keep that water coming out. Check back in 20 minutes. Alright, we got the pot, a jet burner, propane tank, and the crawfish will go down in this little basket. Alright, let's check back in on them. The water's definitely getting a lot cleaner. You can tell you still got some debris and stuff sitting on the top. That's why it's good to have this cooler. A lot of that stuff will just float up to the top, spill over. So what I like to do about every 5 minutes is come in and take the water hose and stir them up. Also make sure you keep the crawfish out of that bottom drain hole there. But just stir them up good, make sure to get all that dirt out. We'll give them about 5 to 7 more minutes and start cooking. Alright, let's check in on Liz and Sarah. This is going to be Sarah's first crawfish bowl. She said, give me that mud bug. Mama's doing good. Baby's happy. Can't ask for anything better in life besides that and a few mud bugs. She's ready to go. Alright, so we're about to fill the pot up, and if you noticed, I've got some black lines marked in my pot there. That's your fill line, and what you want to do is you're going to put crawfish in here, and you're going to have your seasoning and water in here, and when you put the crawfish in, you don't want to overflow the pot. So if you've never done a bowl with your pot before, go ahead and fill your basket up with crawfish, and then just test out to see how much water you need to cover the crawfish but not overflow the pot. Alright, now we got the pot filled to the fill line, Now it is time for the important stuff, the recipe. And guys, if you have ever trusted me on anything, trust me that this recipe I'm about to give you is good. So our pot holds 20 pounds of crawfish. So what we do, and Liz's dad and I stumbled on this about 10 years ago by mistake, because we only had half a bag of Swamp Fire and half a bag of Louisiana. So we put them in there together, and it turned out to be one of the best crawfish bowls we ever had. So we started using that exact ratio. So what we're going to do is we're going to take half of this bag, which will be 2 1/4 pounds, and half of this bag, which is 2 1/4 pounds, dump it in here, and that cooks 20 pounds of crawfish. So if you have a bigger pot, which a lot of you guys probably will, if you can cook a 40-pound sack of crawfish, then go ahead and use an entire bag of this and an entire bag of this. But what you want to do to start off with, dump your seasoning in, bring it to a boil, and then put the crawfish in. And one more note about these seasonings: the Swamp Fire obviously is the heat, and the Louisiana shrimp and crab bowl, that's the salt. So it makes a really good combination. But if you don't like spicy so much, you may go a little bit less of this, or if you don't like salty, you may go a little bit less of this. But the two mixed together do make a perfect crawfish recipe. We bring the seasoning and the water to a boil, and then the crawfish will go in next. So let's take a look and see how clear this water is now. See that? That is what you want. That's when you know that you've purged your crawfish. Now the 4 things that we like to cook with our crawfish are potatoes, sausage, corn, and mushrooms. And the potatoes and sausage will go in at the exact same time as the crawfish. The corn and mushrooms go in later. We like to use Conecuh sausage that's made right here in Alabama. Can't beat that stuff. Alright, it looks like our water's almost to a boil. Yep. So now it's time to go in with the crawfish. See, we got the potatoes and sausage and crawfish here. Now one thing you want to do is take and put your sausage and potatoes, you want to use a scoop and push them down to the bottom. Make sure those potatoes and sausage get cooked really good. Now we're going to cover it up and bring it back to a boil. Alright, we're just now coming back to a boil. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and cut it off. And now it's time to add the corn and mushrooms. And what I like to do is keep the corn frozen right up until you put it in, and it helps cool down the water and keep the crawfish from overcooking. And it's starting to look tasty. Same way with the sausage and potatoes. You want to push your corn down, get it up under the water and up under those crawfish. That way it'll cook really good. Not gonna lie guys, I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. Alright, now that we've got those in, this is the most important tip I give you. After you turn the burners off, put your corn and mushrooms in, you have to let it cover it back up and let it sit for 17 minutes. That is the exact perfect time to let the crawfish, corn, potatoes, and mushrooms soak in all that spice. Now, if you cook crawfish as much as I do, I would highly recommend investing in one of these tables. This is a perfect table for eating crawfish. You dump the crawfish right here. You got a spot for the beer, the sauces, more crawfish, and as you get done eating them, you just throw the hulls right there in a trash can that the table sits on. Perfect setup. I love this table. And it even has a paper towel holder. And I'll try to put links to all these items, the seasoning, the table, and things like that. If I can find it online, I'll try to put links down in the description of the video in case you're interested in buying it. Alright, they're ready. Alright, we got them all dumped out on our table. Looking good, smelling good. Liz, you ready?
Yeah, it's time to eat.
I'll say it's time for a crawfish eating challenge. This is going to be my, well, this one has a lot of mushrooms and that's Liz's favorite. So that'll be your plate. That'll be my plate. And that'll be baby Sarah's plate. Let's see who can eat the most crawfish. Alright, in case you all have never eaten crawfish, Liz is going to give a quick tutorial on how to peel a crawfish. You just separate the head from the tail, then you peel the outer layer of the tail, and you pop that little tail out, and then you got your old mudbug tail right there. Perfect. Folks, my mouth is on fire. This is what I ate. That's what Liz ate, but to give her credit, she's still eating. And so this is a good time to talk about size portions in case you're ordering crawfish for multiple people. We had 20 pounds total, so these were about 5 pounds in each little section. I didn't quite eat 5 pounds. Liz probably ate 2.5 pounds, so I'd say a girl anywhere between 2 and 2.5 pounds. Somewhere around 4 to 5 pounds maybe for a guy that can eat a lot. And I know that there's a lot of different recipes out there and a lot of different things people put in crawfish bowls, so leave a comment down below if you add anything extra or if you use different seasonings, and we'll kind of compare notes and see everybody's Cajun recipe. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check in with us Tuesday when we feed Bonnie and Clyde some crawfish.